Or you have people to speak passionately to help you. Sure.
For here, yeah, we have all kinds of passion, ours. We have,
All right, good night.
Here is an agenda, so we need some copy. We're not all, so they all take a long time, right? But once they settle a little bit, they'll pack out a little. Anyone wants to open it, I don't understand. We'll put that in the agenda.
I would really.
Good afternoon, let's call this meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, August 17, 2021. Time is 6 p.m. Pledge of allegiance and prayer.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for another day. We ask that you look over the brave men and women who are all serving and helping the community. And we ask that you give this board discernment to make the right decisions. Amen.
Amen.
Item number 2, establishment of a quorum. We have Commissioner Diaz present, Commissioner Butler, Commissioner Santana, Commissioner Barnes, and Commissioner Avalos. The public must notify the board to speak on any certain agenda item for 5 minutes. Public can comment by calling 915-213-3008. The PIN code is 148-072-623#. That's 915-213-3008. PIN code 148-072-623#. Consent agenda, Commissioners, anything that you would like to pull out of consent agenda?
Nothing, sir.
No, nothing, sir. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve, second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Diaz, second by Commissioner Barnes. Commissioner Diaz?
Aye.
Commissioner Butler?
Aye.
Commissioner Santana?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnes?
Aye.
Commissioner Avalos?
Aye.
Motion carries. Regular agenda. Item number 6, discussion and communications report by Elba Ramos. Elba, are you?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Go ahead.
Hi, hello, good evening, everyone.
Hello.
For the month of July, there were 164 calls in Flint, 128 calls in Fabens, 89 in Montana Vista, 117 in San Elizario, 241 in Socorro, and 168 in West Valley. As far as the COVID calls go, there were only 3 confirmed, which was 1 in Fabens, 1 in Socorro, and 1 in West Valley. For the fire marshal inspection, there were a total of 75 inspections, 29 permits issued, and 0 agriculture permits. For the all calls no response not available, Clint had a total of 17 no response and 0 not available. Fabens had 2 no response and 1 not available. Montana Vista 0. San Elizario 22 no response and 2 not available. Socorro 3 no response and 1 not available. And West Valley 0. For the total, there were a total of 44 no response and 4 not available. As far as the breakdown goes, below where you would see, there were a total of 42 no responses and 4 not available. Are there any questions?
Negative. Okay, I'd like to commend those departments for those low numbers, Montana Vista, West Valley, Socorro, and Fabens. Great job, and ask the chiefs out there at Sanelli and Clint take a look at your procedures and if there's assistance we can provide anywhere, just let us know.
Item number 6 for informational purposes only.
Thank you, Ms. Ramos.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Item number 7, discussion on report by Tommy Cotton. Tommy, are you there? Cindy?
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon.
Hello.
I apologize. Hi, so just a quick update on our behalf. Brenda and I have been working closely with Chief regarding the filling of the position for the maintenance assistant, which I believe a job offer has been extended to the candidate that was interviewed yesterday. We have continued to assist Chief with personnel items and matters, meeting with prior, personnel regarding certain expectations and things of that nature. And I'm not sure if Brenda has anything else, but really right now we've been focusing on filling the administrative assistant position, which just got done today.
Everything else has been good? Any
I think
questions?
we had multiple interviews. And I mean, we're just glad that we were able to finally find somebody that is a good piece for you all on that. Does anyone have any questions or comments or need further elaboration?
No, thank you.
Item number 7 for informational purposes only.
Thanks, Cindy.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
Item number 8, discussion and report by Chief Esparza. Commissioners, as you all know, we've been working very hard. As of today, we've had 42,367 vaccines administered within the event we had for Juarez and the population here in El Paso County. We are having meetings to start again just for the third dose. It's already been approved. We're having talks with DHSS. They love working with DSD number 2. They can't wait to start the process again. However, we're still trying to get the guidance from the doctor that handles DHSS to see what's really going to happen. We don't know how it's going to go. We're trying to figure out who's going to get the third vaccine and who's not. So it's a little bit more complicated than everybody thinks.
Just a booster or?
Booster.
When are these talks taking place, Chief?
But it's already been approved. It's just a matter of the guidance coming out to see what DHSS is going to say about who gets it or who doesn't. How do we confirm?
What do you anticipate in the time before we start again or you guys start again?
Probably a week or two. I mean, the city of El Paso has already started, but they're having to make appointments for those, and it gets complicated. So one of the talks that we had is that I think everybody's going to get it, because how are we going to eliminate one person, not the other? So if they want it, we have it, and they're going to get it until we run out.
Now, is that for all 3?
No, it's right now, it's only Pfizer, and I believe Moderna is the next one that will be coming online with that. They haven't said anything about Johnson & Johnson. Johnson & Johnson, ESD number 2 is the largest cache, if you would, of Johnson & Johnson vaccine. We currently have 10,000 available. So other agencies want it, so we're going to start transferring some out to them. Any questions on that?
Negative, sir. Thank
Is
you.
there shelf life on that, Johnson? If it's too medical, I want that.
No, there is a shelf life, so we still have about a month left on it. We did purchase the Polaris finally for some inside the fire department. We ended up getting it for $16,204, which we did really good. The only one that was available within this region was in Phoenix, Arizona, so we had to travel there to get it. But we found it, so it's already been to 2 calls, I believe, in the border wall, so it's great. Las Colonias, as you all might have seen on our Facebook, progress is happening. The whole frame is already up. Walls went up today. I think one wall, and tomorrow they'll do another wall. Rain stopped it a lot, so it's continuous. So definitely it's moving along. Hopefully we see progress here pretty soon if the rain ceases. Number 4, of course, one of the things that we just I had a meeting with the constables is during their event. Some of the equipment did get damaged, and they are going to put it as part of condition for us to just replace it equal to equal. I think that's doable since they were way below what we budgeted for them, just to be able to stewardship of the county's property. The same thing we did for us. We bought new equipment to use at that event in case we broke it. It came out of that, so same thing for them. I think it's going to be very doable. We did assist, as you all know, with all this rain and flooding in Canutillo, Babins, and we were out there also looking and surveying the areas. It got pretty gnarly over there in Canutillo. We had an OEM call me and had me go survey the area and make sure that we can get the right resources out there. So I was out there working Saturday and Sunday, and then we got approvals from BNSF to go underneath the train track to pump the water up.
Was West Valley involved?
Yes, they were out there responding on their calls, and Chief Adler was there at my side also working on with that mitigation of that situation. This is something that typically goes to road and bridge, but their hands were tied because nobody, so when OEM activates and we all go out there, we figure out how to do it. And luckily, we were able to come to an agreement with BNSF and they allowed for us to use the over the train tracks, which is not allowed. So they kind of stopped it for a while so we could pump all the water out.
What did you use to fill?
4 1,000 gallon a minute pumps. So roughly, I threw a number out there, it's over 1 million gallons of water out there. In some areas it was knee high, in some areas, I know Chief Tadler was up to the chest in water, so.
That's not most people.
Yeah, go out to me. So, yeah, it was pretty good. So we did activate for that. We did have a budget meeting with the county. I think it went very well. The only thing they suggested is they were gonna look at it to make sure that there was any funding that they could assist us with, more funding through the ARP funds. They were gonna look at that. I doubt that they'll be able to do that right now because it's so complicated to receive those funds. But they are gonna look at other projects that we are gonna be able to do. So I think they'll approve it in about 2 days, if I'm not mistaken. Also, we looked at the temp building. I have Commissioner Santana. We went out there and looked at the building. It's kind of rough. And it is on the agenda again to revisit that item. You all allowed for that to come out of reserves to try to get maybe it's a temporary building to go 2, 3, 4, maybe 4 years until we get to the point where we build them something nice, something feasible. Because we have 2 other big projects down the pike. So those are the things that we're working on. Also, you also approved under the last meeting to approve the remodel of the boardroom. The plans are already here. If you'd like at the end of the meeting, you can all look at it and see what it's going to look like. And have any things that you think could have been better, but I think we were very well on it. And the bid has already gone out, so they have till Friday. Okay. Any questions?
We're going to have to change our motto to EST to the rescue. All this good stuff you're doing out there.
It's all our job. Item number 8 was informational purposes only. Item number 9, discussion and action on adoption of proposed 2021 ad valorem tax rate for El Paso County Emergency Services District number 2 of 0.10 per every $100 valuation, consisting of the proposed step rate of 0.048541 and maintenance of operation rate of 0.051459 for 100 valuation, and authorizing the appropriate district officials to publish and post the appropriate notice of same and take necessary actions required by law. Commissioners, this is for a tax rate. Do I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Diaz, second by Commissioner Barnes. Commissioner Diaz?
Aye.
Commissioner Butler?
Aye.
Commissioner Santana?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnes?
Aye.
And Commissioner Avalos?
Aye.
Motion carries. Discussion and action on amending fiscal year 2020-2021 budget submitted by Chief Esparza. Mariana, you there?
Yes, I'm here. Give me a sec. Let me open up. Commissioners, in the Dropbox, there's the budget amendment agenda item report that breaks down all the budget amendments that I will be processing for this month. One of the big major ones is the funds we received under the ARP for the 2 command units. And that total was at $2.2 million. That already has been added, and you'll see it on the Excel format as income as a grant. And it has also been paid out to Siddons and Martin on July the 30th under check number 9138. Other than that, there was also some income added into the budget, and the rest are allocations. So transfers from one account to another account under the district. And the second page has for each fire department, which are very small amounts of expense accounts that have been transferred. Is there any questions?
No, ma'am. No.
Do you have a motion to approve item number 10?
Motion. Item number 10.
Motion. Or second, sorry.
A motion by Commissioner Santana, second by Commissioner Diaz. Commissioner Diaz?
Aye.
Commissioner Butler?
Aye.
Commissioner Santana?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnes?
Aye.
Commissioner Avalos?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 11, discussion and action on all expenditures exceeding $2,000. We have Dayco fire equipment, $4,900. Commissioners, I believe this is for a Vista control module that went out on one of the trucks. This is, I believe, the third one that's gone out and it needs to be replaced and it's been ordered. However, we're still waiting on it and we had to authorize the $4,900 for that truck just to ratify the purchase of this equipment to fix that vehicle.
What was that again?
A Vista controller that operates the whole truck, the pump, the light, siren, kind of like in the city pumpers that have a TAC2 digital screen in the inside to turn on the lights.
Is this being replaced or is this an addition to?
No, it's being replaced. The unit it had on there was obsolete and it broke down. So this is the new upgraded model.
Yes. Motion to approve.
Second. Now, was it broke or was it?
It was broke. The screen went dim and apparently there's no repair for it. It's an obsolete unit. So we're having to upgrade the unit to a new model.
Fluid damage or?
No, just.
And it's compatible with the truck. You're not going to need again later on to bring somebody.
It's actually going to be the same exact brand except the new model. They're not cheap. I have a motion by Commissioner Santana. Do I have a second?
Second. I'm sorry.
I have a second by Commissioner Butler. Commissioner Diaz.
Aye.
Commissioner Butler.
Aye.
Commissioner Santana.
Aye.
Commissioner Barnes.
Aye.
Commissioner Avalos.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 12, discussion and action to ratify the approval of one member of the West Valley Fire Department to attend the EMT course held at Pro Action Inc. for a total cost of $2,100. Commissioners, this was already approved by Commissioner Santana, as you all had approved for him to do so. It was just not ratified at the last meeting. So I'm asking for the ratification of this expenditure over $2,000 for one member to attend.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a Commissioner by the motion by Commissioner Butler, second by Commissioner Barnes. Commissioner Diaz.
Aye.
Commissioner Butler.
Aye.
Commissioner Santana. Aye. Commissioner Barnes.
Aye.
Commissioner Avalos.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 13, discussion and action on approving the San Elizario Fire Department to purchase a fitness treadmill. They requested a new treadmill. We had the one looked at just to make sure that it was fixable or not. They did fix it. Now the automatic stop won't work on it. So that unit is a little bit old, so we're looking to replace it. So we have the three quotes, one from Coast Fitness at $9,800, Fitness Outlet at $8,048, and the Fitness Superstore at $6,776 with 1 cent.
Move to approve the Fitness Superstore. And this is necessary, Chief. They need a treadmill in their gym.
With a monthly turn-in of mileage you put on it.
What's that? I'm sorry, what?
We turn in vehicle miles, right, every month? Turn some treadmill miles for us.
Do I have a second?
If we're gonna pay $6,000, $7,000 for a treadmill,
How can you measure anything like that with the grill?
because you can't measure that with a grill.
You can measure how many times a year.
I think this is part of.
Commissioners, I have a motion by Commissioner Diaz.
Second.
Aye.
I have a second, Commissioner Santana, second. Commissioner Diaz.
Aye.
Commissioner Butler.
Aye.
Commissioner Santana.
Aye.
Commissioner Barnes.
Aye.
And Commissioner Avalos.
Aye.
Motion carries. Discussion and action on approving the remodeling of the, discussion and action approving the remodel of the purchasing warehouse at the district office. Commissioners, part of what we want to do with the reserve funds that we currently have is we're expanding also to try to do the warehouse part in the back where the old stables were at. I think we're in a good place right now to use some of the reserve funds that we had talked about last year, approved for the remodel of the back and possibly buy some tankers for the departments, which are also on the agenda. One of the things that we would like to add is the warehouse. We're growing and that is about time to get replaced. We're looking at about 116,000 to enclose it and make it waterproof and not animal proof to be open. I think that's a good part for us to start closing up and concrete around it so that we can store more of the equipment that we have.
Does this take away from any of the other fire stations? It doesn't affect them or what we were gonna do with them?
That's still part of everything else. This is coming out of the reserve funds.
Is there estimated cost?
We're top for bid right now. So we're estimated about 116,000.
So what are we approving tonight?
For us to let Commissioner Santana review it and get the lowest bidder that approves, that submits the bid. It will be a sealed bid. They have till Friday to submit.
And we had many people,
I think 2 have already come to look at it.
can't discuss the bid amounts or estimated cost.
It's about 116,000. Maybe even lower, depending on whoever's doing the bid. If they follow the bid instructions.
How big of a necessity is this?
It is pretty big because we are absorbing all the bunker gear, everything else that we are currently absorbing. We're hiring more staff, so we need the room so that we can practically house every piece of equipment that we're purchasing. And store it without it getting wet, without it getting damaged.
You shouldn't have been here about letting the president approve and see the bid. I trust him explicitly, but those that read our agenda understand, the process we're taking.
And this is where you can assign any of yourselves to be the one to do it.
We go to the
That's why it's not.
I make a motion, to approve.
Did you say second? I have a motion by Commissioner Diaz, second by Commissioner Barnes. And the motion will be to allow President Santana to review the bid, open the bids and award to whoever the winning bidder is.
Yes.
The lowest bidder, you said?
Yes. Lowest bidder or,
Is lowest always the best?
no, it's the lowest bidder or whoever actually put what we put on the
Meets the
request.
scope of
Meets
work.
the scope of work.
Scope of work, yes.
Lowest or scope of work. You all comfortable with that?
Yes.
Commissioner Diaz?
Aye.
Commissioner Butler?
Aye.
Commissioner Santana?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnes?
Aye.
Commissioner Avalos?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 15, discussion and action to approve annual physicals for all firefighters and paid staff. Commissioners, as we see this year, the COVID hit a lot of the staff here. I want to make sure again that we do this every year. This is a firefighter fitness. This year, I know that I wanted to add the paid staff because they're always here looking at this and they work here with us. And sometimes the volunteers don't show up and we still pay the same amount of money. So I'd like to include the paid staff as part of this physical. And it is a budgeted item, so we do it every year for all firefighters. And they still have to pay for them to come out here, so might as well pay for staff that's already working.
So this
If
is
they choose
only
to.
for firefighters, it's for everybody.
Everybody, our volunteers and everybody else that's joined in before. They charge us about $300 a person.
Clerical person or?
If they choose to take it.
Right.
They don't have to take it.
This will come out of the budget.
This year's budget, we have it budgeted. But every year we annotate who's gonna make it from the volunteer departments. We give them a list and they're billing us from it, they don't show up. So they don't show up, I wanna give our staff the opportunity to use some of that budget.
You only pay for the ones that show up, right?
Well, no, because it's a contract for however many we send.
So it's contract for how many?
Depends on how many sign up. It's a budgeted item, so,
Okay.
so let's say we say 80, we're gonna make a contract for 80, and that's how many they're gonna charge.
40 show up,
We still have to pay.
So what is?
So normally we have about 10 to 5 that are stragglers that don't show.
What if the volunteers don't show up? Is this mandatory for the volunteers to continue volunteer?
It is not. We're offering them everything we can to ensure that they're healthy and fit for duty. And sometimes they can't, or they choose not to show up. Some of them feel that if they take a physical, that they'll be told they're not fit for duty and they won't be able to volunteer, which could be the case. The last thing we want is to put somebody in danger here that's not fit for duty. If a doctor signs you off as not being fit for duty, it's that you might injure yourself doing this job.
Is this something you look closer at, or
What's that?
is this something you look closer at? I don't know.
I know in the city it's mandatory,
But
Here for my staff, it's mandatory. For the paid staff,
So
it
for
is
the fire
mandatory.
marshals, paid it's mandatory, but for the volunteers, it's optional. And you feel,
They're volunteers.
President, Sutton, you feel that that's better for it to be optional
I
for
think,
volunteers?
it's like you said, some of them.
We've always given them the option to try to better themselves, and this is where the district is saying, it's being afforded to you. We will get a list of who's actually gonna attend to try to minimize the expense that we're gonna incur. But I can tell you that we've had, in the last minute, some people don't show up.
So look, we purchase 80 and then, so 65 show up, we pay for 15, so $4,500. Is there a better way to calculate how many people
Well,
are?
every year I tell the chiefs the same thing, please put only the people that for sure are gonna show up. And then at the end, the company does work with us, they'll send them to Walgreens, get their blood work, and they'll try to schedule them in there at the last minute, but some people still don't show up. So every year we've had about 4 or 5, maybe 8 that didn't make it.
Chief, I don't know if this is an option. I don't know if this is an option, but this is just thinking outside the box. For whoever signs up and doesn't show up from that fire department, is there any way we can back charge them? I know that sounds kind of petty, but, you know, I mean, if you're gonna sign up for something, you show up. And you have to be responsible if you've signed up to get a free,
A wellness checkup.
I don't know, I mean, it's free. It's a physical,
You can make that the rule, and then we'd have to send it to the departments. If they choose to send their people, then we will know that they're agreeing to that terms.
Even on that same note, sir, do we owe our community a fit firefighter?
We do.
we do. They have to be fit, I mean, to be able to get in and get out, I mean, in case something happens.
We need that optional.
Not to our staff, to the volunteers.
And that's,
I know that at West Valley, it's not optional, it's,
We have
you will take.
But we have separate standards. We fight the same fire. I don't want to get into that. I know for the city, I know for my guys, 100% no option.
I agree that for paid, it should, but the more I think about it, I have a hard time telling volunteers that you have to, I don't know.
And it's not that they're gonna be dismissed or anything. This is a way for them to understand what's wrong with their system, what's wrong with their body.
But could it lead to their dismissal? I mean, I understand.
Well, not from us, it will not be from us. We're gonna try to help them get better. We can't help them with the insurance, because that's not something we cover. But we can definitely be like, if the doctor says you're out of shape, you need to get, because you're in the verge of having a heart attack, then, because they do EKG, they do everything else. And unfortunately, some of the people here have been diagnosed with cancer out of those tests, so it's a great physical. That's why I'm saying we're gonna try to encourage it, but it won't be that we dismiss anybody. It'll be up to their chief to decide what's gonna happen.
Here's my concern, because I've had volunteers call me in the past and say, I have a bump, or I'm feeling this way after this fire. And, I've had discussions with you and I've referred them to you, and then they come back and they get told, well, we can't, because we can't show for sure that you got it fighting, being a firefighter, so we can't cover you. So if there's a way to help them better, I don't like hearing that from our volunteers, because that dampens their spirits, and rightfully so. I mean, so I don't know if this ties in to try to fix that, so we have a better way of helping them, but.
I can tell you, Commissioner, that as the chief of the district, I tell everybody the same thing. If something happened during a fire, you need to report it right there and then. Because if it didn't happen right there and then, it's gonna be hard for us to prove to our insurance that it happened at that fire. And most of us know when something went wrong at that fire, we got an injury, I fell, or I twisted my knee, whatever the case may have been. I feel weird, I don't feel comfortable. As long as reported, there is an initial report of injury. It's the problem when it's a couple of days later, 5 days later, 6. Well, I'm feeling something, and I'm not saying that that's the way that happened.
Right.
But it's gonna be hard for us to prove when the insurance starts calling, because we have to attest that, yes, that happened there. We don't know. And I'm gonna say the same thing for all the volunteer chiefs.
Now we'll compare injuries to illness. I don't want.
No, I'm answering this question.
I don't want to give an individual incentive to give assessment. But maybe you can give something to the department who has the highest number percentage-wise that go through this, because it's for their best, I think. I think we're looking out for their best interest, not looking to get rid of anybody. I agree with that.
This is also making sure that us as a district is protected, because with all our staff, if they already have an injury, they're gonna catch it right there.
But they have high blood pressure, something like that, that could affect their response or as a responder.
And with us, we can consult with a doctor and they can go be referred to their doctor to make sure that they get cleared for fit for duty. There's always a way to do everything. It's just a matter of making sure that our guys are not gonna go get injured in the fire.
Is this something we can ask for you to work with the chiefs on incentive options or opportunities to,
I know that the ones that don't, the ones that are gonna participate are the ones that have no issues that are gonna pass, and the ones that are not gonna participate is the ones that are gonna have issues. But we're offering it equally to everyone, without discrimination.
I like the idea of an incentive or some type of reward for,
not for the individual, for me,
no,
I'm
for
speaking
the
for myself.
station, for the
Not for the
station.
individual, because we're giving them $300, I think we already said $300 medical checkup. That's awesome. But maybe an incentive for the station that has the highest percentage. I know some stations have different numbers, but it's an opportunity.
Maybe we
And I
can do
understand-
something.
I understand what you're saying, Commissioner, but here's the deal. It comes back to the same thing that, what the problem is, they make an appointment to show up,
I got
and they're not showing up. That's what we're discussing right now. I understand, you know, I understand what you're saying. Giving them an incentive is great. It's a great idea. But right now, what we're looking at is, what do we do if they make an appointment and don't show up?
Are they making an appointment? I'm just,
They have to make the appointment themselves.
okay, so it's not the chief saying I got 25.
No, it's them, it's on them. I
We
mean,
get a website where they get to go in there, enter their personal information, and pick the day that they want to be here for the visit.
See, that's my deal. I
I
mean,
agree.
$300, guys, $300. It adds up. It adds up. I mean, that's not just, it's district money, yes, but it's constituents, you know, community. Community.
I agree.
We can't waste money. That's my deal. Sorry.
But
I'm
then
on board.
also
I
can
agree
we
with you
hold
100%.
the stations accountable for individual people who don't show up?
Well, I mean, I guess that's the question. What could we do? Could we talk to the chiefs, and maybe you can talk to the chiefs and maybe tell them, before these guys go ahead and sign up, they have to make sure that they're gonna do it. And maybe sign a contract, I mean, I hate to say this, but sign a contract and say, I will be there and I am committing to this. And at the point in time that they don't show up, I mean, what are gonna be the consequences? That's what we have to think about. That's what they have to think about. I mean, how can we come into an agreement between the district and the fire chief from the fire department to where, hey, do they pay it back from the Inc. money to the district? I mean,
It could be a remedy for you all to decide after we find
I'm
out
sorry.
which departments they didn't have their members that show up.
that was the question. I'm sorry, sir. I didn't mean
Or
to-
we can always withhold the money before the next contract.
Hold that money, that amount.
That way it holds the chiefs accountable for their staff. That I know, like I said, West Valley, everybody has to go.
Yes.
That's part of their requirement for you to be in that department.
And I commend him on everything he does. Yes.
Can we, I think probably should weigh in here in terms of,
We can postpone it until we consult with him after our
Yes.
executive session.
Yes.
Item number 15, Commissioners, postponed until after our executive session.
I didn't mean to make it hard.
It was
guys.
easy.
I'm sorry.
No,
Do I have a
no.
motion to postpone until after our executive session?
Oh, shit.
Item number 16, discussion and action approving temporary office space for Favens Fire Department. Commissioners, it's been difficult to find this temporary office space for Favens Fire Rescue here in El Paso per se. We do find it. However, it's only rental space. They're renting it about $1,600 a month. I know that the last approval was to take it out of reserves to purchase something. It'll be there for 5 years, in case we want to build in something nice, something that's significant to the residents of Havens, so that we can have it engineered, because we, like I said earlier in my report, we already have other stations down the system, but we want to make sure that we just don't go piecemeal what we used to do. But this will be a temporary office to hold them up with office space, because one of the things that they brought up to Commissioner Avalos is that they're sleeping, quarters are also the living room, so people can't go to sleep. Their offices are all open, so there really has no separation. Unfortunately, this is something that was done by their previous chiefs, never thinking of this. So here we are trying to fix the issues that were left behind. So with that said, the only thing that we have to put a budgetary number, because we were looking in between 30, 40,000 maybe to buy them a used one. But apparently this year is the worst year for us to try to buy anything like that, because there aren't any. There aren't any. So right now, from the salesperson that we've been talking to, I try to go out for different quotes and different ones. They're all too far. The only one that's near here is Houston. And he says, you have to give me a budgetary number so I can say we have something or we can't even help you out with that. He said that for us to get something, it's going to be 100 to 150,000.
Maybe now's not the time.
So that's why we're here.
What was the price on it?
100 to 150,000.
Well, I'm going to push for it. And the reason why I'm going to push for it is, again, they're there. Their numbers are growing. They've been responding. The numbers are up. And so there's a lot of effort. There's a lot of people, new people coming into the department. And so they are packed there at night. There's quite a few people sitting around in a small area. They're eating, they're sleeping in the same area. They're watching TV in the same area. There's a lot going on. And we're asking them, as has been told many times in the year by other commissioners and fire chiefs, if they're volunteering and giving up their time, we should at least give them a comfortable place to be in. We have spent $100,000 on other things that I would feel are far less than giving them a good, comfortable place to live. So the way I see it is, they're not asking for anything that's not unnecessary. They're not asking for anything luxurious. They're asking for a place to sleep, and they need office space.
Right.
The office space would alleviate it, so they could have dormitories. So we're knocking out two big problems that they have. And it's not Chief Reyes, it's not Chief Reyes inherited this issue. So the way I see it, I think we should support them. They're not asking for anything that I think is, they're not asking for a $5,000 grill. Let's just put it that way. Like they're going to use it. They're going to sleep there. And on top of that, again, kudos to Havens, because they really have turned it around. They've come a long way.
Commissioner, and I remember discussing this with you last meet. We did discuss it, and we did hear about this, and he is correct, 100% correct, that there's some people that are trying to sleep, some people that are, they have to work the next day, and they have to get some sleep, and the other ones are up watching TV. So they're in the same room, so to say, like we are right now. And there's us talking, and there's other people trying to sleep, and that is hard. That is hard. And for them to do a job, you know what? I'm going to agree on this one with you, Commissioner. I will back you up on this one, because I feel that, we do owe this to them. We do. So yes, sir. Appreciate it. I'll back you up.
And this is an office that will be owned by the district and will be used in other locations.
Correct.
When the time comes for us to remodel different locations, like we're about to remodel Montana Vista. Luckily, they have a second station where they can go and use an office. Havens has one office at the other location, so it's not going to be feasible, plus it's very far away.
Is it relocatable or what?
What's that?
Is it like relocatable?
Yes.
So the cheapest price right now that we're looking at is
100 to 150,000. So you'd all have to set a price of what your limit is, and this will be coming out of reserves so that we can make this happen. And we'll place the order, and they said roughly 30 to 60 days it'll be.
And Chief, they do have them available.
They do have them.
What is this, how big are they?
It's like a
is it-
mobile mini.
It's gonna be like a 25 by 40 long. So it'll, depending on which model, and then once we set a price, they'll tell us which one's the one we can afford under that price, how many offices, it will have a common area like for, like a boardroom in the front. So it's all gonna be based on price. The size is gonna be based on price. There's really nothing that we can say, this is what it looks like, because they're all different. So you'd all have to say, find something for an X amount of dollars, and that's what they're gonna do.
What is a good amount? What do you think? In your opinion, based on having a conversation?
Well,
All these different.
I know that he said 150 will probably get us a brand new one. So I'm thinking about a 125 to get a nice used, or if you want to go new, you can say 150,000. And they're gonna estimate that based on what's available.
That's our, out of our reserve.
Out of reserves.
What is that, our reserve?
So right now we have, Mariana, correct me if I'm wrong, 6.5 million? $6.5 million, and we're gonna use 1.5 to balance the budget, which will still leave us the 4.5, right? And if we buy the tankers, buy this building, we're only using about a million out of reserve, still puts us within range to be good.
And the remodeling of the purchasing warehouse, which you also said would come out of.
That's about 100,000.
Yes.
And the remodel here as well. So everything that we've been looking at that you all approved at the last meeting will come out of reserves. Mariana, what was the total that we talked about?
We currently have cash balance in our balance sheet of 6.9. And then we're set to receive an estimated in sales tax for this month and a half, about $400,000 in revenue from sales tax. Those $400,000 is already in excess. It's already extra income coming in from what we originally budgeted in the beginning of this fiscal year. So that's already in excess. So it was, I believe, 5.1 that I gave you, Chief, minus the 1.3 to balance next year's budget. That's roughly about $4 million.
So, but all the projects that we talked about, what was the total on that?
Give me a second.
Tankers, the remodel, the commissioners build the boardroom, everything else that we were just talking about?
You gave me give me a second. You gave me 150K for the office space, which is what we're speaking about right now. And then you gave me 116K for the warehouse. Let me make sure I have it right. And if you are also going to include the 2 tankers that you have on the agenda following this item, I believe, that's already $1 million, which we do have available for those 3 projects: the remodeling, the office space, and the 2 tankers you have the agenda that's next.
And that's not including the 200,000 possibly, because that's what the architect said it would cost to remodel that, but it's going to be way less than that to remodel that building for the boardroom.
So if you're including the 200,000, 1.249. 1,249,000 total.
Where does that leave us with reserves?
Yes,
2.8. Right?
Percentage?
2.8, that'll put us right at
So can I show you my, share my content with you all?
yes.
You gotta make her presenter.
See the content? So this is as of today. Cash balance is at 6.9. Okay, that's how much we have in total reserves account, money market, and our operating account. Estimated for sales tax to receive, it's at 400,000. I have pending payment for our debt, which is in September coming up. And then these are the special projects that are left to pay, which in this case, it's Las Colonias. We need to pay this out. And then these per department is what they have left over on their budget as of today. Now the district has, if I take away the district expenses, and if I add the 1.249, that's just the projects that we're speaking about. This is not including our regular monthly day-to-day operationals. That leaves us net total at the end of the fiscal year at 5.3. We're going to use 1.3 for reserves. So that leaves a balance of $4.97. Leaves us this amount, commissioners.
So what's the percentage of that of our yearly budget for reserves?
Give me a second. I do not have that open.
If it's 2.8, it's 40%.
It's 35% of our operating, which was approved. Give me a second.
So we hit all the marks.
Because we're supposed to keep it above 35%.
Below.
For act.
I don't think 150 is a hard bill if it keeps responders at the station. Yeah. So
I agree. I agree.
This is just, like I said,
The only thing I was gonna ask, and this is something to look at, just so we can look at it. You said it was $1,500 per month that we were to rent it, right? 10 months, that's 15,000. Okay, so let's say, how long would it be before we build a fire station for?
I'm estimating that they're gonna be like in the 5-year mark.
Okay, so that building is gonna stay there for 5 years. So that's gonna pay for itself.
that is a utility that we can move around.
Yes, sir. That is something to think about, you know, for future
As long
growth.
as it's maintained, they said the life of those buildings are for a long, long time. Well, I mean,
I got you.
shoot,
Over 5 years, it would be $90,000 to rent. If we purchased it for 125, we're almost there.
125, 150.
We're almost there.
Right, and again, it's not a luxury item, we're not building something nice for them, we're giving them office space so that then they can move into another area of the fire station.
What we're gonna do is the current office areas will become their dorm separate from anything else.
Correct.
And giving them the office space where they're not all, you know, what,
And just to repeat, this is not, Chief Reyes inherited this issue, this is not his doing.
This is not his
Working around it. Perfect.
I'm all for it.
Motion.
I make a recommendation for a
Second.
motion on a contingency. That Chief Avalos cannot use the word grill in open forum for 12 months.
Chief, Avalos or Commissioner Avalos? I'll
The
say.
grill really affects you that much, doesn't it?
I just dropped it.
so I have a motion by Commissioner Avalos.
Yes, second by
Second.
Diaz.
Okay. I have a second by Diaz, but the motion's gonna be, what's the amount? What's your,
You said 125, right? You were
you wanna keep it at
comfortable with that?
125?
Are you comfortable with that? You're the one negotiating.
I say the max 150.
Let's get you.
Give you,
That gives you a brand new one, he said.
Well, let's keep it, let's go between 100 to 150. Let's keep that window in there, and let's have options. Let's weigh out our options, you know what I mean? Let's not fall in love with the first thing that they bring to us and say, this is it. Let's weigh them out. So,
I have a motion by Commissioner Avalos, second by Commissioner Diaz to approve this purchase of a temporary office for Pavens Fire Department, not to exceed in the amounts of 100 to 150,000 for a budget number. Commissioner Diaz,
aye.
Commissioner Butler,
Aye.
Commissioner Santana.
Aye.
Commissioner Barnes?
Aye.
Commissioner Alvarez?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 17, discussion and action approving the purchase of 2 tankers, one for Montana Vista and one for West Valley Fire Department to replace a 1993 and 1990 tanker. Commissioners, if you all see, we do have 1 tanker already spec'd out. It's available within the next 30 days. Right now, the current situation with Montana Vista is that their tanker broke down and parts were not available. We were able to get it up and running and serviceable, but it is a 1993 Freightliner. The next time it breaks down, there will not be parts.
Motion approved. Second.
Hold on, there's a second one. Now, West Valley did not want to look at the one that's already currently being built. It could be available in 6 months. So they want to go out for bid on the second one. So that would be, we'd have to go out for bid since that company is not a part of the HGAC contract by board. So we'd have to go out. It could be cheaper or it could be the same price as one of these. But that's the motion that we would have to allow for Commissioner Santana to look at those bids and approve the one that's most to our spec.
Say they don't want to wait 6 months?
No, they don't want to get the one that's ready in 6 months.
Is
They
it,
want to, Chief Bella requested that we're going to purchase one, we purchase one that matches the one he currently has. So that's going to be 15, 19 months out.
is theirs in working order?
There is, but it also just got repaired and we couldn't find the parts.
Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, what would be the cost of getting the one that's 6 months out compared to ordering one spec'd out and having to wait 18 to 20 months?
So I was given a price of roughly $270,000 for the one that he wants versus the one we're buying for Montana Vista. It's already built. However, we still are yet to receive the actual scope of what it's going to be in that tanker so we can put it out for bid because the price might change right now. And then to wait 15 to 19 months to get a truck, it's crazy, but we're trying to do everything we can. My original intent was to buy whatever was available now so that we didn't have a problem getting these trucks up and running. However, I'm giving him the opportunity to look at whatever is available. And if that's what he wants, then if it's cheaper, then he wants to wait. But if the truck breaks, we're not going to fix it anymore because there won't be no parts. As a matter of fact, that truck, we couldn't find the new bushings for the suspension. They're not making it anymore. It's a 1990.
But I'm sure Chief Allen knows that, right? He still wants to wait.
And it's for his department.
Yeah, so I have no problem. I mean, we're going to buy it. I was trying to get him one now, but if he wants to wait, then. And he is on the line, right, Chief?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Hi, Chief.
Hello? Hello. I'm doing wonderful. Actually, the tanker that I'm looking at is going to match our current tankers, engineered for what we do out there. And just right now, compared to the ones that he's looking at, it's almost an $80,000 difference in the good way. So that's why I want to take this out. We have two tankers that are currently in use. Both of them are in good working order. Both of them have low mileage because we don't have fires very often, thank God. So I think we can stretch out the 1990 as long as we need to get the right tanker, and it's going to be a better price, I believe.
What do you mean by better price, Chief?
But we're going to have to go up for bid. So right now, rough estimate is lower than what the available right now price is.
Hey, Bill, you're saying it's 80K less, right?
Right. The one we're looking at through a company that built our other two is substantially cheaper than the one that was proposed to me if we bought it right now. That's why I don't see any problem in waiting for a while. We're saving a substantial amount of money.
And remember, Commissioners, I still have to go and get him this, send us sealed bid so that Commissioner Santana will open them and make the right choice.
Okay, so we're speaking to the right guy right here. Mr. Adler, then, if you can wait, you're okay with that. I mean, our main concern is that what happens if your 1990 breaks down, what are you gonna do then? You know, but you just said right now that you have a backup one, correct?
We do have two, but remember, we're by ourselves out there, and we also have mutual aid from New Mexico Department, so I think we'll be okay. And they're both in good working order. That's the key right there.
Okay, perfect. I mean, that's my question to you. I mean, I don't want to leave you high and dry there without any water, sir. That's our main
Right.
concern.
No, absolutely. And going out for the bid process, I think we can do this before the fiscal year is over, so it's not going to impact next year's budget. We'll still be in line with what Chief Esparza wants to accomplish with the reserve funds.
Okay,
So, Chief Roland Glidden is static about getting his new truck within 30 days, so
All right,
he's
we'll
ready.
do that. We'll get the one for Montana Vista and Chief.
Given the fact that it's red. He said he'll take it.
Compromise.
Oh, right.
Red.
Oh.
Like yellow.
all-wheel fire trucks over there.
All right, so motion to approve,
Second.
and go out for bid for the West Valley, tank.
Yeah.
Thank you,
I have
Chief.
a motion by Commissioner Santana, second by Commissioner Barnes, Commissioner Diaz,
Aye.
Commissioner Butler,
Aye.
Commissioner Santana.
Aye.
Commissioner Barnes. Commissioner Avalos.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 18, discussion and action approving the purchase of 5 sets of water rescue dry suit gears for West Valley Fire Department from Rescue Gear. The amount of the price changed to $8,537.
8,000 of what?
$8,537. Commissioners, I'd like to postpone this because Eddie was not able to get all 3 quotes, and I want to make sure that we look at what's the other options. If you look at it, 5 sets at $8,537. We can put it on the agenda hopefully by next week. I think we have a meeting on Monday.
We need to postpone it.
I'd like to postpone.
Put a cap on it.
Yeah, because it has to be the second one of the notification of the tax rate.
So
Yes,
post-
our second reading, it's gonna be 31st.
You have a motion to postpone till next Monday?
Motion.
Have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Diaz?
Aye.
Commissioner Butler?
Aye.
Commissioner Santana?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnes?
Aye.
Commissioner Avalos?
Aye.
Motion carries postponed until next month. Item number 19, discussion and action on limiting the hourly reimbursement. Hourly reimbursement of all volunteers to 120 hours per fiscal year. This may be used in any training the department chief approves, i.e. ComStar, firefighter, EMT, etc. Commissioners, I did have a talk with Chief Adler. He is against us having, I'm going to rephrase it because he corrected me, CSAR, County, what was that, Chief? County Search and Rescue?
County Search and Rescue, correct.
So the reason why we're putting this on the agenda is that we're having an issue with one of the departments. Their members seem to think that because we don't have a rule that limits how many hours they can get paid for, he decided to approve himself for an advanced class, which is probably 1,700 hours at $10 an hour. So we need to fix this, and he's threatening that chief to sue him if he doesn't get paid. So we looked at all the rules. We did say 10 hours, $10 an hour, 40 hours, you know, or whatever the per hour of training that you take. But just because we're all going to pay the price for somebody being like this, we have to put a number. Now, one of the things that Chief Adler did say is like, look, the CSAR team is above and beyond the regular, so he would agree with 120 hours, and then plus the 12 days of ComSAR or CSAR, if you all agree to that. I don't see an issue. I just want to make sure that we say also no more than 12 8-hour days of CSAR if you're going to give it. You need to put a cap on it so that we don't run into problems. And it must be approved by the chief officer of that department. Because if these guys think that they can go take a class and just say, here's my thing and pay me, then there's a problem.
Chief, is there any way we can postpone this till Monday as well? So we can just kind of look at it and understand it a little bit more? And, you know,
Sure.
is there, I don't know, is everybody good with it, or does everybody want to kind of
The way I looked at it
toss
is
this
there's,
up in the air?
any of the volunteer members are eligible to take 3 trainings a year of up to 40 hours each week. If they travel out of town, out of their time, and they go take a 40-hour class, then they can submit for reimbursement. Again, the key word is, and we talked about with this with Chief Adler, is out of town. If you're going here in town, that doesn't apply. This is when you're taking your vacation, your time to go out of town to take these classes.
Did you come up with 120 hours that way by saying 3 40-hour week-long trainings? Or is there like an average number of trainings?
So the way I looked at it is, if you're gonna go, I'm gonna use an example, firefighter 1, you go 1 week of 40-hour hazmat awareness operations, 1 week of firefighter 1, and then 1 week of your burns. That gives you the 3 weeks. So if we limit it to 3 weeks a year, I think we should be okay, and that's as much as most people are gonna be able to take anyways. Now, like I said, the only thing that Chief Adler wants to leave alone is the CSAR, because it's in addition to whatever your basic firefighter training is. But if we do that, I want to make sure that we say no more than 12 more days of 8 hours a day.
So it would be the 12,
If they're doing
12 more days
if you're in CSAR.
in CSAR. So it'd be 12 more days.
So it'll be 21 days.
Okay.
So the
But most people, just to clarify, most people that are taking the CSAR have already taken the basics, the firefighter, so it's going to be very rare that they're going to exceed the 21 days.
Why couldn't you just say 120 hours unless approved by the chief?
Because we also have to maintain a certain amount that before we have to cut them at 1099 that they're employees. So we do it a 3 week, I think we're still within that scope of doing it and not going over it. Because imagine if a person's unemployed or whatever, and the chief says, yes, you can take this class, and it's weekly and they're out of town, you can, and then you could have a guy that's making $15,000, rightfully so if the chief approves it, you know what I mean? But then we can be in a whole different type of mess.
So we need to also specify the out of town.
Out of town.
We haven't done that.
We have not done.
Okay, so Chief, you said,
3 40-hour weeks.
At $10 an hour.
right, which is 120 hours a year, okay? So for the ComSARs,
If they're part of the ComSAR, CSAR, whatever.
yeah, CSAR, you said it's
One training a month.
1 training a month, and you said it's 12 days is what you're giving them as well,
Well, yeah, one
On
training
top-
on 12 months.
on top of,
Well, that's what he's requesting. That's up to you all to decide.
so I want to understand this. These are 12 more days on top of the 120, correct?
Correct.
So, okay.
CSAR, they're the ones that responded to the roller coaster incident. They respond to all these floodings that we had.
So you think it's fair? It's 12, right? The 12 days is fair?
And I mean, it's a smaller group that actually can do it because of the training, specialized training.
Just want to make sure that all the departments are protected as well as us to say, if you didn't know, now you know. Because we don't want to run into a problem with somebody's authorizing their own training and then it comes to and it's going to make us all look bad. So if we say it now, it's out of town, must be approved by your chief officer, because that's the first thing I said, did you approve this? He's like, nope. But then he's still like being threatened, so.
So this vote is to cover that training that's already been conducted, or he's gonna, right?
That means if you're gonna set the limit right now, reestablish the limit, 3 weeks max of 40-hour weeks. Whatever if you can go 80 hours if you want a week, that the 40 will be on your own.
Do any of our volunteers ever hit that 3 week anyways?
Some do, but it's very rare. That's why I don't even see a problem with the CSAR now that I look at it, because realistically, the ones that are at CSAR have already taken everything else. And it's gonna be very rare that they have the capability of taking the monthly training in addition to 3 more weeks.
And if they do, it's still a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, if they're responding to stuff like that, absolutely, they should.
Right, so is everybody clear on this?
Yes.
I mean, that's why I was asking right now, do we have to postpone, or everybody's clear, you guys want to vote on that?
Does this come now? What's that to do with the training thread? Just to,
He has nothing to stand on because he didn't seek approval from his chief, but now we're gonna be able to say, here's what the board said.
Vote to approve.
Second.
Can we, sorry. First of all, I like to see written policies that we approve, which this isn't. This is an agenda item, not a written policy. But regardless of that, I would like to see something that says, unless anything over that can be brought for consideration to the chief or to.
You can add that if you like, or if that person wants to go, and if you want to put it for me to review and give that other chief, go for it. We do have budget, but this is to put a stop to what this chief is afraid of.
Right, but there's a difference between 120 hours and what did you say? This
Like 1,700.
1,700, right? We're talking like a huge difference from
Yes.
somebody who's trying to game the system. So if there are really proactive volunteers out there who really want to take as much training as possible, that maybe amount to 150 hours, right, per year. Shouldn't we consider that? The budget's not an issue.
I don't think so.
Well, can we add them for your approval or
Yeah.
president's approval?
Well, I'll type it all up and then we'll send it all to you.
So then, are we gonna postpone to approve for our next
You
meeting?
can make it up to 150 with the approval of the district chief.
No,
Yeah.
I think, I really don't want to throw numbers out there because I think it's arbitrary. Like,
You have to put a number, because if there's no number, it's gonna leave it open to.
Then we're back to where we started.
Yeah,
You're gonna have,
Well, you might have like 99 people who are gonna do what you're saying, but you always have like the one
right,
piece of.
but I'm saying, I just threw out 150 and now you're saying, okay, 150. Like, I have no basis for saying 150.
Well, so what's a good number, chief?
I think the 3 weeks, and Chief Adler agreed, the 3 weeks, and that's the department that takes a lot more of the training, so 3 weeks is typically what somebody's eligible to take from their regular vacation. Like, if you were to have to go, would you be able to take 3 weeks out of your, so 1 to 3 weeks max is what people take out
So
of
the
their
way you
vacation?
proposed it right now, 3 weeks, 12 days, you think works perfectly for.
I think that would solve everything.
And if there's an exception, they could go to their chief and then to you to approve.
More, and it could be even more.
If there's an exception.
As long
yes.
as there's a process for people to.
in other words, I see where she's coming,
So you,
how Commissioner Butler is coming back with us, to us. In other words, if they were to exceed the 120 hours, 3 weeks,
you can seek approval for additional.
seek approval at that point in time,
That's gonna go ahead.
yes. How's that?
Yeah, that's fine, as long as there's a,
But we have to have a cap, and then at that point in time, then it has to be approved. Can we do that, Chief?
Yes.
Okay,
You still have your motion.
I still have my motion.
So I have a second.
Second.
Thank you very much.
I have a motion by Commissioner Diaz, second by Commissioner Santana. Commissioner Diaz?
Aye.
Commissioner Butler?
Aye.
Commissioner Santana?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnes? Commissioner Alvarez?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, commissioners.
thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good night.
El Paso County ESD number 2 is now entering into closed meeting pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551-071 to consult with district attorney, or to district's attorney concerning all matters identified in the agenda where the board members seek advice from their attorney in privileged communication. Today is Tuesday, August 17th, and the time is 7:07.
I don't know if we're there or not.
And we're on.
So Angelica was pretty good. That's one of left.
El Paso County ESC number 2 has completed its closed meeting. Today is Tuesday, August 17, 2021. Time is 8:30. Regular session, discuss and take action regarding the contract with San Luis Estadio Fire Department.
Make the motion to proceed as delivered.
Second,
Second.
Commissioner Diaz,
Aye.
Commissioner Butler,
Right.
Commissioner Santana.
Aye.
Commissioner Barnes.
Aye.
Commissioner Avalos.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 23, discuss and approve the next meeting to take place on Tuesday, August 31st. To Tuesday.
Is on this 15?
Oh,
Item 15.
return to item.
Oh, I'm sorry, item 15.
15.
Discuss and take action, approve the annual physicals for all firefighters and paid staff. Commissioners, how would you like to move with this item?
So of course, we're gonna approve the annual physicals for all firefighters and paid staff. Now, as far as no-show volunteers, that was a question. And Commissioner Potter.
If they fail to report to their scheduled duty,
No show.
the department will be withheld the amount from their next coffers of the $25,000.
We can message that to all the chiefs.
Yes.
You understand? So now,
Do I have a motion?
second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Santana, second by Commissioner Barnes. Commissioner Diaz?
Aye.
Commissioner Butler?
Aye.
Commissioner Santana?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnes?
Aye.
And Commissioner Avalos? Motion carries.
So you said the meeting, sir?
Item number 23, discuss and approve the next meeting to take place on, we have a special meeting on, says Tuesday, August 31st. I thought it was Monday, but it's Tuesday. At 6 p.m. Motion.
Motion.
The 31st?
I won't be attending that meeting.
Monday or Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Oh, Tuesday.
I thought it was Monday.
I'll be here.
You were saying Monday.
Yeah, but it was Tuesday. I have a motion by Commissioner Diaz, second by Commissioner Barnes. Commissioner Diaz.
Aye.
Commissioner Butler.
Aye.
Commissioner Santana.
Aye.
Commissioner Barnes. And Commissioner Avalos. Adjournment at 8:32 p.m. Thank you all.
Had a great evening, everybody.
You too.
Thank you. Almost. Aye, aye.
Always a pleasure.
Yes.